Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my devlogs, my monthly devlogs. Well, it's supposed to be monthly, but I haven't posted since January, so I've been really behind schedule. Um, I actually, before I show you the progress I've been making with my project, um, I would like to briefly talk about why I haven't posted. Um, I actually got laid off from my last job in March, and it was kind of a devastating thing to me. So I kind of just stopped. I stopped developing. I stopped doing everything. I just stayed in my couch and just did nothing because I was just so devastated. And then when I finally recovered, I was now searching for a job. So no time to actually pick up the project and look at the code or look at the gameplay or anything. And then surprisingly, I got a contract to work for the same company in BC, so I had to relocate there. But before I relocated, my Achilles tore from playing soccer, so that kind of made the relocation process a bit hard with the injury. I did finally relocate, but it did take like I would say like 2 months for me to get used to the new environment. Like I've been driving all around BC, and yeah, it's BC is really beautiful. It would be I would encourage everyone who listens to visit. But now I'm back after 4 months since my last submit on GitHub, and I've been submitting changes to my project, and I think I've finally mastered the basics of behavior trees. I've mastered the basics of behavior trees. I've mastered the basics of making the enemy character controller with the behavior trees. And yeah, this is the progress I've made. So if I recall, in the last recording, I made a very bare bones simple behavior tree for my opponent's NPC controller, where like the enemy just approaches you. I'll just go back to demonstrate. The enemy just approaches you a bit, attacks, approaches you a bit, attacks. But I think this one is a bit more complex, the enemy here. So like in this one, if I approach the opponent, it's going to circle around me and try to get behind me. And then it just keeps doing that. It just keeps trying to circle around me. I'm just going to stay in one place. And then you see it goes in a half circle until it reaches behind me. And then it goes and attack. And then of course the enemy also parries your moves like in the previous devlog. And then surprisingly I did manage to include all sort of scenarios of what the player would do and the enemy's responses to that. Like for example, the enemy does horizontal attacks. So as you saw there, when I crouched, the enemy changed its attack animation to an attack that can hit me when I crouch. So if I stand, it's going to do horizontal attacks, three-string horizontal attack. And then when I crouch, it's going to attack, but then it's going to do a different kind of attack that will strike me while I'm crouching. So it made me stand up automatically. And then, as you saw there, I stepped back a bit while the enemy was attacking. So the enemy dodged, missed its attack, and when it misses its attack, the automatic thing it does is it just blocks. And so that's what it does right there. It misses its attack, it blocks. And then this one, I'm going to dodge, and then when I dodge, it's going to charge, do a lunging attack at me. So I dodge, it's doing a lunging attack. And then the lunging attack is a low, so you can't actually block it with unless you crouch. Oh, I'm trying to see if I could okay, nice. So the crouch blocking does work. That's good. Yeah, the crouch blocking does work a bit. And then what else? Yeah, I think that those are the main movements the player can make. The player can crouch, you can block, the player can dodge. So with those behaviors the player can do, the enemy has a basic response to that, and then by default the enemy just tries to circle around the player, and then when it circles around the player it will charge into attack, and then it does its attack moves. And yeah, that's the simple character controller. Um, I'm going to run away now. Oh shoot, no, no, this, this is kind of aggressive. Okay, that is the basic character controller. It is more advanced than the initial one I made. So yeah, the animations are kind of wonky, but that's kind of expected when you're getting like free assets from the internet. But as I start to be as I start to create more enemy attacking archetypes, so there are three main types of archetypes that I'm trying to design for. There's the aggressive attacking archetype where like the enemy just kind of charges at you and just keeps throwing attacks at you to overwhelm you. There's the movement archetype where like the enemy tries to evade and then tries to get an angle on you to strike you. So it's less focused on straight attacking like the attacking archetype, and then um, more focused on movement, and then how movements will be used um, to get an advantage on you. And then there's the keeper archetype, which the keeper archetype is sort of a defense to the attacking archetype, where like the enemy also focuses on evasion more, but then the enemy focuses on evasion and trying to catch the player off guard, while the player focuses on try if the player is focused on attacking the enemy strikes back by using its own attacks, like medium to hard attacks that like can keep the player out essentially. So it like if the player rushes in, the enemy uses that attack and punishes the player, so the player can not straight up attack mindlessly. So essentially it would be like a three-way sort of archetype of attacks for negotiating attacks. There's the attacking archetype, the keeper, and then the keeper archetype um, defends against the attacking archetype, whereas the whiff archetype defends against the keeper archetype, because you can't play an effective keep out game when like the enemy is constantly dodging your attacks. So you can't be like, oh, I got you, and then you throw an attack when the enemy dodges it and then punishes you. Whereas if you're throwing a slurry of attack and you're rushing the enemy, no matter how much the enemy dodges, the player will always be on their tail. So that's why the attacking archetype is a good defense against the whiff archetype, at least theoretically. Um, this idea I didn't come up by myself. I came up to it. I'm using this idea from like gameplay gameplay explanations on how to get good at fighting games like Tekken or Street Fighter, because a lot of the professional players do sort of have one of those three play styles in mind whenever they fight. And of course the characters in the games, in those fighting games, sort of gear to one of those three um, fighting archetypes. So I'm trying to hard code it into the enemy controller to create a very realistic kind of enemy opponent, enemy AI opponent, a realistic enemy AI opponent that will challenge the player almost like a real player would challenge the player. So it goes back to my theme of making a third person hack and slash that is almost akin to like a fighting game, which the archetypes are a good way to channel the fighting game aspect into that. Um, yeah, this is a long monologue, but thank you for listening if you're still here. And yeah, that's all I wanted to show. I'm sorry for not posting for so long. I am back now, so I'll be posting monthly. I have settled in, and yeah, I can't wait to show you guys more of what I produce. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.